Who do you think you are?" The officer's words exploded into the open street, sharp enough to cut through the noise of traffic and chatter. Heads turned instantly. Phones came out just as fast. The officer's grip tightened around the young woman's collar, pulling her forward with a force that made her stumble. Her back hit the side of a parked car, the metal echoing faintly. A tear slid down her cheek, but she didn't wipe it away. "Please, you're hurting me," she said, her voice trembling but not breaking. "Then stop resisting," the officer barked, his face flushed with anger, his jaw clenched tight. His other hand hovered in the air. Not quite striking, but close enough to make the crowd gasp. Someone from the sidewalk shouted, "Hey, that's too much!" Another voice followed, "We're recording this!" The officer didn't turn, didn't care. "ID!" he demanded again, leaning closer into her face. "Now!" "I told you! I don't have it on me," she replied, swallowing hard. Her eyes darted briefly to the crowd gathering behind him, some shocked, some angry, others silently watching through their phone screens. That was the world now. No one stepped in. They just recorded. The officer scoffed. "Convenient. No ID, suspicious behavior, and attitude. You think this is a game?" "It's not a game," she said quietly. "You stopped me for no reason." His grip tightened again, and she winced. "I decide the reason," he snapped. "And right now, you're looking like a problem." A murmur spread through the growing crowd. "Man, this is getting bad. Isn't that excessive?" She's not even fighting back. The woman's chest rose and fell rapidly. Fear was there, clear as day, but there was something else beneath it, something steady, something controlled. "Officer," she began, her voice low now, "you're making a mistake." That did it. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Oh, I'm making a mistake?" he repeated loudly, almost performing now for the crowd. "You hear that? She thinks I'm the one making a mistake." A few uneasy chuckles came from the bystanders. Most stayed silent. "You people always say that," he continued, shaking his head. "Every single time." Her eyes hardened slightly, though the tears didn't stop. "I'm not you people. I'm telling you the truth." "Yeah?" He leaned in even closer. "Then prove it." "I will," she said. There was a pause. A brief, strange moment where the noise of the city seemed to dim, but the officer didn't notice it. He yanked her forward again. "No, you won't, because right now, you're coming with me." A louder reaction came from the crowd this time. "For what?" someone yelled. "What did she do? This is wrong." The officer finally glanced back, irritation flashing across his face. "Everyone step back. This doesn't concern you." "It concerns all of us," a woman shouted, holding her phone higher. The young woman took a breath, steadying herself despite the officer's grip. "Look at me," she said. He hesitated, just for a second, before his eyes locked onto hers again. "You still have time to stop this," she added. That flicker of hesitation returned, small, almost invisible. Then it vanished. "Save it," he said coldly. "You should have thought about that before acting suspicious." "I wasn't acting suspicious." "Then what were you doing?" he challenged. She opened her mouth, then stopped. Because in the distance, something had changed. At first it was just a sound, faint, easy to miss. But then it grew louder. Engines. More than one. The crowd began to shift, some people turning their heads down the street. "What's that? Is that a convoy?" Black SUVs appeared at the far end of the road, moving with purpose. Not fast, but deliberate, coordinated. The officer didn't notice. Not yet. "You're real quiet now," he said, tightening his grip once more. "What happened to all that confidence?" She didn't respond. Her eyes were no longer on him. They were fixed on the approaching vehicles. The flashing lights became visible next. Not police lights, but official ones. Subtle. Controlled. The crowd's murmuring grew louder. Something's going on. Why are they stopping here? Is this connected? The officer finally turned his head slightly, just enough to catch a glimpse of the convoy slowing down. His grip loosened. Barely. What the? He muttered under his breath. The SUVs came to a stop. Doors opened. Men in dark suits stepped out, scanning the area with sharp, practiced eyes. And suddenly, the energy of the entire street shifted. The officer let go of her collar completely. Not out of kindness, out of confusion. "Stay right there," he said quickly, trying to regain control of the situation. But his voice didn't carry the same weight anymore. The young woman adjusted her jacket slowly, her hands no longer shaking. The tears were still there, but her expression had changed. Calm, composed, certain. One of the suited men began walking toward them. His pace steady, his gaze locked directly on her. The crowd parted without being told. "Wait," someone whispered. "What's happening?" The officer straightened his posture, suddenly aware of how many eyes were on him, not just from the crowd anymore, but from the arriving team. He cleared his throat. "Ma'am," he said, his tone shifting awkwardly. "You're still being detained." "Am I?" she asked softly. The question landed harder than it should have. The suited man was now only a few steps away. The officer's confidence cracked. "Is there a problem here?" the man in the suit asked, his voice calm but firm. "Yes," the officer replied quickly, trying to reassert authority. "This woman—" But he stopped mid-sentence. Because the man wasn't looking at him, he was looking at her. And then he nodded, respectfully. "Ma'am." The silence that followed was deafening. The officer blinked. "Ma'am?" he repeated, confused. The young woman took a small step forward, now completely free. "Yes," she said. The officer's stomach dropped. Something wasn't right, not even close. The crowd felt it too. Phones stayed raised, but no one spoke. And for the first time since this started, the officer didn't look in control. He looked uncertain, very uncertain. The man in the suit turned his attention back to the officer. And this time, his expression wasn't neutral anymore. It was sharp. "Officer," he said slowly, "do you have any idea who you just put your hands on?" The question hung in the air like a storm about to break. The officer opened his mouth, but no words came out. And just like that, everything was about to change. The question didn't just hang in the air. It pressed down on everyone there. "Officer, do you have any idea who you just put your hands on?" The suited man's voice was calm, but it carried authority that didn't need volume. The officer swallowed, hard. She refused to identify herself," he said quickly, trying to regain footing. "She was acting suspicious and—" "Stop!" One word. Sharp. Final. The officer froze. The man in the suit stepped slightly aside, giving the young woman space. Not just physically, but symbolically. The shift was obvious. The power dynamic had flipped, and everyone felt it. The woman straightened fully now, brushing off the last trace of dust from her jacket. The tears on her face had dried, replaced by something far more unsettling. Control. She looked directly at the officer. "You asked for identification," she said quietly. "You never asked for respect." The officer's face drained of color. I didn't know—" "No," she interrupted gently. "You didn't care to know." The crowd reacted, soft murmurs, whispers turning into realization. "Wait, who is she? This is serious. Oh my God." The suited man reached into his inner pocket and pulled out a small leather case. He flipped it open and held it just enough for the officer to see. The officer leaned in, his eyes widened, and just like that, everything hit him at once. His posture changed instantly. The aggression, the authority, the certainty. It all collapsed under the weight of a single truth. "No," he muttered under his breath. "Yes," the suited man replied. The officer took a step back, as if distance could undo what had just happened. I didn't know she was the newly appointed state commissioner," the man finished. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Phones didn't just record now, they zoomed in. The officer's hands trembled slightly. "I was just doing my job," he said, but the words sounded weak now. Hollow. The commissioner tilted her head slightly. "Your job?" she echoed. There was no anger in her tone. That made it worse. "Is your job to humiliate people in public?" she continued. "To grab them by the collar without cause? To raise your hand like that?" The officer couldn't meet her eyes anymore. "No, ma'am." "Is your job to assume guilt before understanding the situation?" "No, ma'am." "Then tell me," she said, stepping closer, not aggressively, but deliberately. "What exactly were you doing?" Silence. The kind that exposes everything. The crowd leaned in. Even the city noise seemed to fade. "I made a mistake," the officer admitted finally, his voice barely above a whisper. The commissioner studied him for a moment, not with rage, with disappointment. "That's not just a mistake," she said. "That's a pattern, and I will take up a case against you for humiliating me." Those words hit harder than any shout. The suited man signaled subtly, and another member of the team stepped forward, already on a phone call. "Yes, we'll need internal affairs here immediately," he said quietly. The officer's head snapped up. "Wait, please," he began, panic creeping into his voice. "We can handle this without accountability?" the commissioner asked. He stopped, because there was no answer to that. The crowd wasn't murmuring anymore. They were watching, closely, judging. "You said something earlier," she continued. "You told me, 'Who do you think you are?'" The officer shut his eyes briefly. Regret had finally caught up. She took one final step forward. "Let me show you something," she said. He looked up slowly. "Respect is not assigned by uniform," she added, "and power is not proven through intimidation." Her voice wasn't loud, but every word landed. "Every person you stop, every person you question, you owe them dignity, not because of who they are," she paused, "but because of who you are supposed to be." The officer's shoulders dropped, defeated, not just by her position, but by the truth. The sirens in the distance grew louder now. This time, unmistakable. Internal affairs. The suited man stepped aside again as another vehicle pulled up. The officer didn't move, didn't speak. He knew it was over. The commissioner turned away from him, her attention shifting back to the crowd, to the people who had watched, recorded, witnessed everything. "Thank you," she said simply, not for helping, but for seeing, for holding the moment. Because moments like this needed witnesses. She walked toward the convoy, her team falling in step behind her. The crowd parted once again, but this time, it wasn't out of uncertainty. It was respect. As she reached the open door of the SUV, she paused briefly. Then, without turning back, she said one last thing. "Let this be the last time someone has to prove their worth after being disrespected." And then she stepped inside. The door closed. The convoy pulled away. And just like that, the street returned to normal. But nothing about that moment would be forgotten. Not by the officer, not by the crowd. And definitely not by the thousands, soon to be millions, who would watch what happened next online. If you were standing there watching this happen, would you have stepped in? Or just recorded it like everyone else? Do you think the officer deserved what happened next? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if stories like this hit you hard, Don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments section. Like, subscribe, and share for more powerful real-life moments.